Hello, everyone. How's it going today or tonight, wherever you may be, whatever time zone you're in? So, today I want to get back into talking about the session, the most recent session, session 34. The players finished up talking with the Sons of Whores, the Horsons. Uh, I needed a better name, I guess, but Sons of Whores, good enough, right? So they got done killing Cypher in session 33, and they found a rope of binding this time at the beginning of the session as well. Now this rope was initially meant for the party, as in it was going to be a gift for the party from Exarloth to help in the capture of this Fulton character. Obviously, things kind of went awry with that plan when the group collectively decided, although I will say Alexander or Aenos did make the decision for himself technically, the group kind of pushed it along to not listen to this character, this Exarloth character. What has he given to you? So the group's coming to realize, I think, slowly the ramifications for doing that. And well, one of these ramifications was, the whole entire Sons of Whores group and Cypher coming directly to destroy the party. Unfortunately for him, though, it did not work out the way he wanted it. Now, as far as this beginning part of this session goes, it was a little difficult ending where we left off as well. We left a few things in the balance, like what to do with the Cypher character, which they did that, but the group didn't really seem in it yet. It takes a few minutes. I don't know if you've noticed this, watchers, but it takes a few minutes for really all of us to get in the groove again. We're not doing this often enough where we're just instantly in the groove. I think when I'm looking back at it, that we hit our groove, about 30 minutes in is when we start to hit our groove for the session. And that's partially my fault. I need to do a little bit better of a job, I believe, in remembering what happened last session, or do what I used to do before the long hiatus, which was write out a fairly detailed summary of what's really happened the last session, or maybe the past few sessions, if it's important to the overall arc. Now, the characters, they went and dealt with Eric von Rorikson, a very gung-ho, kind of boisterous man. And so Eric, he's still kind of under the weather, he's just shaking off the effects of Exarloth and this Cypher character, basically taking over his little organization that he had going on here. And yes, he did it for the money initially, but still doesn't sit right with him. But essentially the group made friends with the Sons of Horus, and they set off on their way to Port Valor, and I just kind of sped through this part. The reasoning being is we had someone just waiting to jump in, and it's never really fun for anyone if you've joined a new group to say you're going to be introduced, and you sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours until you're introduced, or maybe longer. So I wanted to try and speed that up as fast as we could. I think we got into it around 40 minutes. Was when Cricket was finally introduced. Of course, he was sitting around longer before that because we got together, about 25 minutes before the session really started, and just, talked and introduced everyone and all that. So he's been sitting there for a while, but I really just wanted to skim through the journey there. You get a little bit of scenery change and what you see when you first see Port Valor, which Port Valor in itself is this tiny little port town, that relies heavily on transportation to Devon. It really is a lifeline to smaller communities to the east of Port Valor. Now, people in Torvoxel don't really have to go to Port Valor. They can actually just take a ship from Turin, which is in Torvoxel. It's actually the capital of Torvoxel. These minor nobles, we'll get to them in a second. So anyways, the players arrive in Port Valor, where they find out, they need they need ferry tickets. And also Atlas decides that he needs a disguise, and the group needs a disguise. You know, because Atlas is Atlas, and he's very freaking paranoid all the time. So he starts talking about these disguises and runs off. Meanwhile, they're doing this in the middle of the street, kind of right outside the general store area where the ferryman, the ticket master for the ferry, is. Unbeknownst to them at the moment that they're sold out, or at least that's what this strange character tells the party. He tells them this. Strolls forth. One of them seeks the nearest outhouse. You take note of this individual. An unfamiliar person strides forth into the ticket, into the general store to buy tickets, perhaps, or maybe.
While I'm walking by, would I have sort of seen him standing there?
Yeah, you, Cricket. Okay. What does Wilhelm? What does he see? Just like an.
So Cricket is a fairly tall human, shaved head, shaved face. Telltale signs of someone who's probably seen some brawls in his day. Like his nose has very obviously been broken. His ears got the cauliflower ear going on.
Okay.
The shady individual standing out front.
Oi! Top of the morning to you.
He's among friends.
Good morning, mate.
Shush. It is good, isn't it? This is where I go to get a ticket, right?
That would be where you go to get a ticket, but sadly they're fresh out. I got the last ones right here. Now, I was thinking about scalping these. But you lot, you seem interested. I'll make you a deal. You get on the boat, you get your free ride, but you break bread with me.
I love this character already.
I know. I was like, this guy sounds fun.
This is all of us together, right?
Yeah, well Atlas went to seek
myself.
the nearest out. You guys are a little bit behind, you know, just kind of like, oh, don't notice us. Constance is talking with him right now. Atlas went to the nearest outhouse.
You got yourself a name, friend? Or should I just call you friend?
Atlas, you can't make insight check. You're at the nearest outhouse.
Not insight. This was a stealth when I leave the outhouse. It's 18 plus whatever my modifier is.
Well, what is your modifier?
I'm gonna have to go look it up because I'm not used to rolling dice.
That's gotta be like at least
poor thing.
4, right?
I'm a spoiled motherfucker over here. It's a plus 14, so
Yeah, okay, you're good enough.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Well, my name's Wilhelm, and I'll stick out my hand.
Well met, Wilhelm. I'm
Seeing this happen, I'm probably gonna stroll up near them
All right,
and kind of
start strolling up, but continue there, Doug.
The name's Reverend Constance Cassidy. Pleasure to meet you. Now, you're talking about breaking bread. What kind of bread are we talking, mate?
At this
I'm
point,
inviting you to my cabin. We have a dinner. We have some conversation. I think you look like an entertaining lot.
Oh, there for a minute. I thought by bread you meant a little, there's some work to have it on.
Well, we could go down that road if you intend.
No intentions. All I want to do is get to that there city so these fellas behind me can have whatever it is they're seeking. I'm just here to have a good time.
Well, what say you? Tickets?
I'm game. I can't speak for the rest of the fellas, but you lot, I want to have a word for this gentleman.
What weapons and gear do you have? Like, how intimidating do you look?
I am completely unequipped with weapons. I have
weapons.
a gear pack. I'm wearing studded black leather, but that's it.
All right. What's the kind of vibe I get from this guy? Does he seem...
you know, at first glance, he seems like a thug.
He seems friendly to me.
You note, though, the end of a viola, a little violin, poking out his pack. All right, so that was Cricket's initial introduction. He basically just wants to talk to the party. He bought all the tickets. He's, unbeknownst to the group at this time, he's been kind of tracking them. Well, not tracking them. He knows where they're going, essentially. Regis, Atlas's contact, had actually told Cricket. Now, the reason why Regis would do this is because Cricket is essentially also an underground criminal type member. And his job on the meta was actually being an information broker. So he has his ways of finding out information. And whether that be through just a general respect, maybe Regis knows him in a deeper sense, or just he's really just good at his job. Now, Regis has somewhat ulterior motives for telling this individual that Atlas and this group, this council, will be coming through. There's a small town, they have a small country that they're trying to get started up illegally. Still, it's very illegal. I mean, a tough situation that I'm trying to remedy as a DM on the meta as well. Now, Regis, like I said, he might have these ulterior motives, because he is in the employ of House Saris now, which means he's in the employ of Fulton. Now, I don't really know if the players know that yet, so hopefully they don't listen to this segment. Regardless, Cricket knew about them. He essentially put all of his eggs in one basket, hoping that they would come through Port Valor, the quickest way to Devon from the Javar area. So afterwards, they go get a few drinks. They talk about who he is. Atlas is trying to disguise himself at this point in time, and he has disguised himself, but Cricket, unbeknownst to Atlas, sees right through it. Cricket is a very, very good bard as far as subterfuge goes. Now, they start talking to him about why they should trust him, and he's not really saying that they should. He's just saying that he needs protection from this other group, which I can't remember if he named them or not, but this other group essentially is called the Enclave, or at least that's what he believes it's called. This group is very interesting. Me and him created it a little bit, or he laid down the background information for it with his backstory, and I just kind of came in with the finer details and how it operated and all of that. And I'm hesitant to really tell more about this organization until the party meets it. I don't want to give anything away or spoil anyone, so I'm just gonna end right there on that note. But anyways, the party agrees to have this discussion in the cabin of the ship at some point in time. But later on that night, Cricket, he kind of drops the bomb on me. He's like, I want to get into a fight. I was like, okay. So I just, drunk fisherman, been out in the salty ocean all day. It's fucking cold out there. And he comes in, he sees Alona. He's in there, and he's not very polite to Alona. And this bard, Cricket, just comes up there and basically says, we should take this outside. You need to talk to her more respectfully. So he, being drunk, just picks up a chair. After a little bit of back and forth, he picks up a chair and smashes it over Cricket's head. Cricket gets up. Now, Cricket is a bard from the College of Whispers. He has a Psychic Blades ability, which is why he doesn't wear any weapons, is because he would rather just punch people with his fists and be deadly. And he essentially envelops his fists with this psychic power, these blades. His fist is engulfed in this purplish black aura, and he punches this dude, and the guy just bleeds out. He's instantly dead. In fact, Constance is the only one in the party comes over there and it's like, what'd you do that for? Why'd you kill him? You need to control your power, essentially. And he casts Revivify. And so luckily the group luckily for me, avoided a unplanned encounter with the town's guard. Now, because he was revived, no charges were pressed or anything like that. But Cricket was given a firm warning by Alona saying, don't ever do that in here again. Now, the next morning, Jock just can't believe what he hears. He's like, come again? Sorry, you punched him and you killed him in like multiple hits. And he's like, no, one hit, and he just started bleeding. It was crazy. The rumor around the end is just like, man, that guy, I'm not going to fuck with him. I'm just going to do my own thing and not get involved with this. So, yeah, they have their little early morning breakfast and meeting. Now, they go to the ship. Now, here's what I want to talk about is I'm coming up with this accent for people in the Devon area. Devon was inspired me initially a few years ago to be this kind of Greek city. So I wanted a Greek accent, and I failed miserably. I looked up a few videos, but it had been a couple weeks since I'd really practiced doing my Greek accent. So what really happened was I only remembered one thing from the Greek accent. If you're talking in English with a Greek accent, it's kind of instead of saying what, this is a good example. It's like what, it's hut. Like, it's in the back of your throat. What do you want? Type thing. At least that's this linguistic guy on YouTube. I was watching videos on that. And that's really the only thing I could think of. And so it came out as this really bastardized version of French that was just talking in the back of his throat for the captain. I felt kind of bad. I didn't do him justice. I really liked the captain. Oh, well. So, anyways, they meet this Captain Ragger, it's his last voyage, and he tells the players, I believe he told the players that, he's closing down for the winter. He really doesn't want to strike fear into the players' hearts and minds, and also the other passengers on the ship. His reasoning is also that these seas have been really dangerous. There's been ships that haven't been spotted in weeks and months, and it's not good. So he's calling it quits for the season until things calm down. So now the players have their little talk, and the players are tentative. They agree, and part of this is just because on the meta, the players don't want to just say, all right, well, your story's not convincing enough. Sorry, bye. So the players want to play D&D. And they want to include this person in. And luckily, Tyler did give them a good enough reason to believe him a little bit. Especially towards the end, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. So he talks about it, of how he wants to rescue a friend, his love, named Maria. I don't want to divulge anything too much about this Maria character, because we might find out more in the coming sessions. But let's just say that this is going to be a vast undertaking. This is not something that the players can just, oh yeah, sure, we'll go track her down quite easily, and we'll just take her. No, it's going to be much harder than that. This is going to be a whole nother arc, essentially. The arcs in this campaign so far have been ongoing, not never ending. Finally, they did get rid of the devil contract, and they still have the Vormesh thing, but Vormesh is pissed off. He's doing his own thing right now, and I do in fact have a plan for him and have planned it out already. He is doing his own thing. Exarloff has been ongoing ever since they met him 10 to 11 sessions ago. They finally met Exarloff, and by my recollection, it's probably got another at least 5 to 10 sessions until they encounter him, unless they really try to speed that up. It's really up to the players. The longer they wait, though, the longer Exarloff is plotting, and his plots will maybe see about harming the players. But anyways, enough on that. Cricket tells the party about a little bit about this organization, some rumors that he heard. He tells them, what else does he say? Just more about him. Now, moving on, in this voyage, this noble family, basically the husband, the wife, and the little daughter, they're going to Devon for the winter, and also to attend the ball, the Last Light Gala. Now, they are minor nobles, but nonetheless, they were invited because there's something going on here. Normally, delegates and nobles from other countries don't really, they don't really go to these galas in other countries, but there's something going on here that the players and the viewers will find out soon enough. There's also a merchant on there, but no one really wanted to interact with him, or maybe the session did take a long time, which I'll get into that a little bit later. Now, the Chol encounter, these were Chols. I called one a Prime Chol. Essentially, what they do is they track magical items. And if you don't know anything about Chols, they're essentially servants of Mind Flayers or Aboliths, other aberrations that are more powerful than them. They're kind of the servants of these creatures that guard ancient secrets, do their bidding if they can. They're somewhat intelligent. They have intelligence of 5, I believe. The initial attack by the Chols on I believe it was called the Merriman, the ship that lured the players in. Now, the captain had this magical ring on, which the players find out later, but the captain had a magical ring on, and it just happened to get a little bit too close to where these Chols were at. That it's nothing more to it than that, and the Chols sniffed out this magical item, tracked them, and attacked them. And since then, this Prime Chol has been kind of pushing the boat, and these Chols have been using the boat as kind of a shell. They've been going in there at night, feasting on the corpses, and pushing the boat where they want it to go. Now, the Chols can't sniff out magical items in a large radius. They can only really sniff out items in, I think, 120 feet. I made the Prime Chol be able to do that in double the radius, just because he's bigger and badder and cooler, I guess. Now, player, rightfully so, didn't want to go to this other ship. The captain, though, he knew something was up. Captain, we haven't seen this ship in weeks. I hope they're survivors. Maybe their mask got broken. Maybe, I don't know why they didn't return. He's going to go in there, and he's just going to do it. He's a good guy. He's been lost at sea before, and he doesn't want anyone else to be lost at sea, especially not its sister ship. So he ignores the players' heeds, and the players were, at least the players were like, well, let us go over there and check it out, which the captain was like, yeah, sure. Go for it. Go check it out. Let me know what you find. So they dock. At this point, the Chols know that there's a shit ton of magical items because the players are more well stocked than almost anyone else that in the world, other than maybe a few select parties here and there. They're definitely in the top 1% of magical items, of people that have magical items that are out adventuring. There are some stores that have them, so I guess maybe they're more in like the top 5 to 10% with magical items. That's what I would say, top 5%. Chol encounter, what I wanted to do here is create a false sense of the players being really powerful, which in turn kind of backfired. They didn't struggle at all. There were a few tense moments, but everyone rolled criticals. Now, I really do like rolling dice. Now, what I hope doesn't happen is I hope some of the players don't, roll a die. It's a 2 or a 1, and they say it's a 10, so plus 9, 19 is 19 hit. I hope that doesn't start happening. Now, this session, it didn't seem like anyone was really moving their hands to the table after they rolled a critical. Zach didn't really know about the rule because he rolled a 20. He picked up the dice and showed the 20. I believe Zach. It's fine, but I need to talk to him maybe about the rule of if you roll a critical 1 or critical failure, crit fail or critical hit, put your hands up, tilt the camera, show them the roll. Now, anyways, the players really, and myself really, everyone except for Atlas really hit. They were, I don't even know how many natural 20s there were. I think I rolled 4 or 5 natural 20s. And between the group that they rolled, but they rolled at least, I think at least 4 natural 20s in the battle. So anyways, this battle, initially I was going to have 3, but I said I'm just going to have 2 trolls initially. All right. And then I'm going to have more trolls pop up. And then I'm going to have the prime troll pop up. Because the reasoning for this was to actually get Matt's character, Jacques, to expend his spells, man. He's a tank. He's a wrecking house. With those Eldritch Blast and the spells, man, he is literally insane with that. With his meta magic ability as well. So those Eldritch Blasts, they put out a lot of damage. Maybe I'm sure that's how it really is. I need to look in his character sheet a little bit. We are using D&D Beyond now, so seem to be on the up and up with everyone's character. It's just, man, his build is so freaking powerful. The only thing that's really going to be a challenge for him going forward are other magic users, which, yeah, I won't say anything too much on that. They dealt with this encounter pretty well, actually. They focused fire when they needed to. I made a bad ruling in the middle of there saying that if a creature's grappled, he's not threatening. Well, that's entirely false because he's still able to hit. His speed is just 0. People got to remember that it's been a while for me as well, and I forget rules, and then statuses are one of my biggest flaws. Not knowing what a status is, I need to read up on those, and I already have read up on a lot of them since the session, just because I want to be refreshed on what's what. So I did. Atlas could have killed one of the creatures a little bit sooner, and I did rectify. I did tell him like a few minutes later, I was actually looking at this. You could have hit him. My bad. I'm sorry. All right. So other than that, I thought the battle went well. The Prime Troll, these players have a lot of damage output, so I'm going to have to start raising the hit points of these monsters a little bit, because they do have a lot of magical items and magical abilities. I need to raise up the hit points, which I do a little bit, but I'm thinking instead of, just like 20 more hit points on a 100 hit point creature, maybe, 1.5 times, and in some cases 2 times the amount of hit points, because also 3 of the characters are extremely hard to hit. We have Jacques with an AC of 21 and Atlas of AC of 22, and we have Aenos with the AC of 21 as well, I believe, or 20. It's either 20 or 21. Then we have Constance AC, which is 18, and Cricket's AC is a whopping 13. So they are extremely hard to hit. I have built some monsters that deal with this, but even the ones I do build manually, the party rolls criticals, and sometimes you just have a hot rolling party, and that's how it goes. I did want to challenge them a little bit more with this encounter, and they did tell me that they thought they were in trouble about midway through. They started to worry a little bit, but that was very brief. Then they're like, okay, yeah, no, we got this, no problem. Jacques almost did like 100 damage in one round. So yeah, that was the encounter essentially. It did challenge them a little bit. I feel like they had fun because they said so earlier. So why would they lie about that? Anyways, or they said so later, I suppose, really is what I should say. All right. Now, at this point, we had been gaming for 4 hours, and we'd been hanging out for 5, almost 5, because we took 2 little breaks, plus when everyone showed up, we talked a little bit. So I kind of sped things along, and they didn't really meet the rest of the ship's inhabitants as well as I thought, because I felt like Constance wanted to cure the little girl's cough, or he was interested in it, but then the battle happened and things kind of like seemed rushed a little bit, is what I'm trying to say, and that's my fault on that. Everyone was fine with having the session that long. I could have taken the extra 10-15 minutes to roleplay a little bit more out, but I just had a sense of urgency that was kind of burning in me. So I was basically like, here you get to Devon, here's what it's like. You see the damage to the wall, it's being repaired. And next session we'll pick up as they enter Devon on the ship, so they'll still have time to interact with the ship's inhabitants. What's to come essentially in this Devon arc? What can you look forward to? Well, I've been building it for a while now, and the main thing is fleshing it out enough to where they can do anything they want. Go anywhere they want to go in the city. I don't want to have them kind of restrained to, just find out about Fulton. Well, how are they going to find out about this Fulton character? So I've built a whole underground criminal system because this is the capital of Erdenia or Erdenia? Oh, God, even I can't remember sometimes. But it's the capital. There's the Baron King, not like Baron, but Barren. They call him the Baron King. He runs the underground here, but he's got some conflict with something else, and if the players decide to investigate that, then more power to them. If they don't, I'll just run that story on my own without the players' interference and kind of see what might happen without player interference. Do they really need to get involved in another side story arc? Not really, but a lot of these side quests, side stories really do have implications in the main plot, or at least they can have implications in the main plot. They're not just there to be there. There are some cases of there just to be there, but I'm trying to get away from that. In the earlier sessions, I would have a few side quests, side stories that would just be there as auxiliary, nothing really important. But yeah, so I'm fleshing out also the noble houses a bit. So we'll see maybe more of those. More like just rumors, and if the players ask, oh well, what's this noble like? What's the word on the street about him? I can say, well, this, House Macedon is risen in power a little bit. They're trying to get back on the Council of Five, all this other stuff. So now some things I need to work on is, now that the party is going to be in a city where there is a potential for more encounters in a day, depending on what they try to do. I need to be careful in balancing this to where I don't kill them, but where they feel challenged, So right now, most of the encounters have been all in one go, save for a couple times. Like the Library of Tyatune back in Roarenfall. They had a couple encounters, actually, in one day. So it might be more of that, especially if they try to look into this Baron King a little bit and see what information they could gather. I really do hope they go investigate that, just because what better place to get information about this other entity of crickets, They might not be concerned with it too much, but they are arriving 2 full weeks before Fulton said to meet him. And Fulton's not a dummy either, He'll probably find out there in town eventually. He is, I don't want to say too much, but he's a pretty powerful wizard. He's not epic level, but he is higher level than the party. Now he is. He's been studying ruthlessly, trying to find secrets and all this other stuff. So that should give you an inclination on how powerful he might be. Now, it's funny listening to the party, because there is something I want to address. The party's talking about how they want to deal with Fulton, and I think Zach's a little worried that I'm just going to null and void any idea that they have, but that's not true. I already have a plan set up for Fulton. And unless I think of anything better, I'm not going to change it. So we'll see what happens. The party would really have to think on this one. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying it's going to be a little hard, So we'll see how it goes. I already have the plan for Fulton and the meeting set in place. Those are things I planned out a couple weeks ago, but I might add a thing or two or not. What I don't really want to do is have the information of knowing what the players are going to do affect Fulton. However, Fulton is smarter than me. He's smarter than, the majority of people out there. He's going to think of a lot of contingency plans or think of a lot of ways to get around this. And I don't think that the party believes that Fulton really just wants to talk. And now Fulton's an intimidating figure, so rightfully so. They don't want to just go in there expecting just to talk. So I don't blame them for paranoia, but the thing is, I'm worried that they're just going to assume he means them ill will and attack right off the bat. But we'll see what happens there. But other than that, that's my mindset going forward. I do have a plan for Exarloth. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos, so this is going to be pretty long, and I apologize for that. Now, the Exarloth thing, there is a plan going forward with him. He hasn't hedged all of his bets on this party. Granted, they were the first ones to really encounter him, other than the Mind Flayers going out and getting stock for the Mind Flayers to eat, and also the Gith would also be doing something like that as well. They'd be going out there, and because they're able to leave. The Mind Flayers are able to leave easily and bring their Gith and go collect humans. And now it's easier for them because that little port on the former country of Roarenfall is now there, where the Fulton and stuff is kind of set up right there, which, is also illegal, but Fulton has his ways of persuasion, so it might be easier for him to do than the party, let's say, at least for now. And he's not afraid of being evil about it. Also, back to Devon being built, how I said I wanted the Devon accent and to be kind of Greek, and I'll work better on that. I think my accent was pretty bad for the captain, and I just want to do better than that, But in the future, we're going to be looking at Cricket's backstory, interweaving a little bit. Actually, not. We've already seen the beginning of the interweaving of Cricket and Atlas when Atlas gathered information from him from one point in time, and Cricket was able to send a dream to Atlas describing this, and Atlas woke up, and I described the rest of what happened. Going forward, we'll also look at how Aenos reacts to being back in Devon. Something I want to see from him is just a little bit more connection to the world. Me and him talked about this a little bit, but he's going to be giving me a little bit more backstory information about who he's connected to in Devon and all that, and we are going to get his age figured out, but the party has really just abandoned every road to de-aging him so far, or they haven't really investigated much. They still have those books of necromancy gathered from the Library of Tyatune, and while they might not contain a spell directly, let's just say that they need to investigate them more, okay? We'll just say that. All right, everyone. I think that's going to be all for this session recap. Let me know your thoughts, concerns, and questions from the session, or just in general about DMing, the campaign, or just want to say hi. Feel free to just say that in the comments section below. All right, everyone. Till next time, take care.